Good morning. And I'm so excited because this morning I get to talk to Ravi, who is one of our speakers for the Unleash Your Greatness conference. Hi, Ravi. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity, Laurie.
Oh, this is amazing. I know that I've known you for a little while now, and I'm really excited to have you come all this way because you're coming in from Ottawa. So it's a bit of a jaunt. And I was hoping today that people might get to know who Ravi is. So if I was to ask you, who is Ravi, what would you say?
Ravi is a really passionate person who is pursuing the dreams that he never thought were possible in his lifetime. Ravi is a person who wakes up every morning, sometimes he has challenges, sometimes there are wonderful days, but regardless of what that may be, Ravi always has this keen sense of living the life. I think in a nutshell, that's how I look at myself. So I don't know if that helps, but that's my answer to what is Ravi or how is Ravi.
So when you say living the life, what is living the life for you?
Living the life for me is exploring it, understanding it, looking inward as much as looking outward, and trying to find my purpose here. Because there is really no purpose unless we try to find it, unless we try to pursue, we try to make life bigger than what it was initially supposed to be for ourselves in our perspectives. That's what it means to me.
So what would you say would be your initial understanding of what your purpose was at the beginning?
In the beginning, so this could be a long answer, so I'll try to be
That's
short.
okay.
So I was born in a small village in India, and I was raised as a child who was really not wired to do anything other than uh, do jobs that require physical labor. That's the that's my understanding of what I was supposed to do. So as time progressed, now I do something that was not possible, even in my wildest dreams. I've moved west, perhaps for greener pastures or perhaps for living the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to basically. Apart from that, what I really enjoy about my life is I get to do this entrepreneurial uh, setup that I have, which is a lot about data science, data engineering, and a lot about personal development. So pursuing all these things really makes it worthwhile for me. Now, if I had been asked uh, 25, 30 years ago, what was I going to do with my life? I would have said nothing. I would just live and die in the dirt. And there is a reference because that's what one of my nicknames used to be. It was, as I remember, Kira, which in the Hindi language means an insect. So, so my self-respect, my goals, my dreams have have grown exponentially,
Mhm.
and I've been confident in pursuing them. And that confidence has only developed because I kept on pursuing them, even though that was not expected of me, even though that was not possible. So,
I love that story. I just love it. Every time I hear it, it just gives me goosebumps because you are a living example of what's possible. So just so everybody kind of understands where you are now, and I know, you're more than what you do, but what do you do?
I have essentially three things that I do for my living. Uh, I would say 85 to 90% of what I do is my technology business. It's a small setup. It's a small boutique, data engineering, data science, data analysis services of five people that I lead. Um, so that's my data engineering aspect, the data work aspect. Apart from that, I also have I kind of help people from time to time when it comes to life coaching or basically achieving uh, their bigger self or
Mm.
trying to unleash their potential, so to speak. A third part is the financial services that I offer. as part of working with an organization called World Financial Group. So these are the three things that I do.
So, what I would love about you, Ravi, is that you marry two what appears to be very extreme experiences. There's data technical side and this, embodiment of wholeness and completeness just as you are. So were you always like that, or is this something that developed as you grew?
I think this developed only about 3 to 4 years ago when I started to realize that doing a job is one thing. It's great to do a job, but doing it with a purpose is a completely different ballgame. For me, coming from a background where I was not meant to do anything or supposed to do anything, in order to do what I did, I had to really look inward and find out what my strengths were. How do I pursue things? And that requires a lot of motivation, a lot of inspiration. So in some ways, I'm a perfect example of a person who, without this coaching myself, I would not have been able to do anything at all. I would have really been a farmer trying to live his life. And this doesn't mean that farming is a bad profession. It just means that in India, if you're a farmer in that little village where I grew up, life is tough and tougher than usual. There are great studies done, and they show that it is a 60% chance that a farmer in that region where I live will commit a suicide because of the death that then. So my point with all this is to come out of those desperate circumstances and pursue the life that I'm living and kind of go forward. It's motivation, inspiration, coaching myself, learning from others, getting motivated from others, getting inspiration from others. These things is really more than half of what my life is. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah. So you know what I heard? You said something about you needed to find motivation and inspiration. So bring me back to when you made this change. So how, a lot of people want to know when they're feeling blah and they're not happy with what's going on, and they're seeking change, but they don't even know what change they're wanting. They just know that they're not happy where they were. Is that how you felt? And if so, what was triggered to look beyond what you thought was possible?
I think I was fortunate to meet the kind of individuals that really triggered the change. I don't think it was one thing or a day or an evening. It was this continuous process of self-discovery, learning and trying to learn, right? Having this open mindset and sometimes we call it growth mindset. So people that I was fortunate to have met, this mindset, which is what I call growth mindset. These are the two things that really did it for me, and they continue to do it for me. I wonder if I digress. What was the question again, Laurie?
It was just, you answered it. You said it wasn't one thing that triggered this new motivation or inspiration to go beyond just your job and to develop this other aspect of yourself. I think that I have experienced that when I was in a place of knowing that what I was doing was great, but I wasn't feeling full and complete within myself. And I often looked to other teachers and read books to try to find what it is they were talking about. So were you aware of what you were moving towards in the respect of personal development, or, how did you know you wanted more of that in your life?
I think this is something that I could draw upon. There are a few incidences, things that I heard from different people that perhaps created that perspective, and that one of them was Steve Jobs. Obviously, a great individual of our generation, great technologist of our generation. There's one thing that he said once. He said that he refuses that life is is all about, waking up in the morning, going to your work and coming back, and then doing all that all over again and again and again. He refuses to believe that. And so do I. I refuse to believe that life is only about living a monotonous life, monotonous in a monotonous way, where we are trying to accomplish only what is necessary, as opposed to trying to push ourselves in a productive way, trying to get to the next level of what we want to do, trying to see what exactly is it that we cannot do, and trying to do exactly that, and try to do it. And if we don't do it right, that's fine. We sometimes fail. Everyone fails. But to keep pursuing it with a laser sharp eye. So I think this particular phrase from Steve Jobs, and I might be paraphrasing it, is something that has driven me. I refuse to believe that life is boring. I refuse to believe that life is just something that we have to live by and at some point go to a different place. I refuse to believe that.
And I know you actually live that, right? You will not allow yourself to just get too comfortable. Can you share maybe a few examples of how you live that?
Sure. So in the past 2 years, I've done a cross-country tour of Canada. I'm new to Canada. I've only been here for 2.5 years. In the U.S., I had some work visa restrictions, as any immigrant has in the U.S. Now in Canada, I got the permanent residency, which means I could really work out of anywhere. Having this entrepreneurial business, I thought, why not live across different provinces here in Canada? So I went from here to Quebec, to New Brunswick, to PEI, to Halifax, and this year I'm planning to go west. That's one. The other thing is, 1.5 years ago, the way I really started my technology business, which is it really satisfies me, it pays a lot more, and I try to make tangible difference in the people who work with me. For example, the individuals who work with me, they have absolutely no technical or technology background. As you know, we are in this information technology age. I thought, why not combine personal development and technology? So what I really do is I find individuals who are motivated, who want to see if they have a career in technology. I train them, I help them learn about their strengths, and then potentially help them build a career in technology. I think that was challenging. I think if people look at technology, they say, you have to have a master's or you have to have a bachelor's in technology. I don't think that's true. That's true anymore. There are multiple people who I work with on a daily basis, and they have absolutely no background. Some of them don't even have a bachelor's, and they're doing well. And that's the point of technology. So I could go on and on and on. But to me, what motivates is, well, is there something people think is not possible, but there might be a value in pursuing or doing that? Can I do that? And that's really what I try to do on a daily basis.
That is so beautiful. So I just want to reiterate that. So you find something that you believe you can't do, and you do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Within reason.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So if you were to say, what was the biggest, almost, insurmountable thing that you thought you couldn't do, but you did it anyway?
So I think, and that's an interesting question. There are many things that I think each one of us do, we do on a daily basis in our lifetimes that are really kind of memorable. One such thing that is memorable, and I kind of try to remind myself about that incident fairly frequently, if not on a daily basis, is this time when I had kind of overcome my initial challenges in my life, with respect to studying, which is about being able to study, really. And I was told that I was not wired to study. I was not supposed to study. My brain was not geared that way. But then with some effort and some luck and some guidance, I was able to complete my engineering. One of my life's goals at that point of time, this particular incident, was when I wanted to move to North America. I thought the social system and the social values that I had were much more closer to what I see here in Canada and North America. So I really wanted to move west. And of course, I wanted to have a better quality of life than that little village where I was living. At that point of time, after a lot of effort, I got my scholarships from University of South Florida. It was a fully waived scholarship, almost fully, like 98%. So this was July 25th, 2011. And at that point of time, um, 6 hours ahead of my flight to the US. And this flight is something that I've been waiting for like 15 years. I've been working towards it. I've been trying to like, oh, how do I get a scholarship? Oh, how do I talk to the professor? Oh, how do I complete my engineering? How do I get that really good grade in that exam called GRE? How do I get really good score in like TOEFL? After all this 15 years, coming from that little village all the way to this place where I have a fully waived opportunity to study in the US, in the University of South Florida, 5 hours ahead of my flight, I had an accident and I broke my arm and broke my elbow. So this was a turning point in my life, in my opinion, because at this point, I did not think that I was going to be able to take this flight, which was at that point of time from Bangalore to Paris to Miami to Tampa. It was a roundabout flight because that's the cheapest one that I got at that time. And this was this time where I took up my broken arm and I just decided that I'm going to push through it. So I took this flight with a broken elbow. And when I reached the US, of course, I realized that it's a pre-existing condition to it. So it took me 10 days for me to get a cast. So these 12 days in my life were probably the most difficult that I had in terms of the physical pain that I had to experience. Of course, there were some other aspects, meaning moving to a completely new country, a completely new environment where I don't know anything, I don't know anyone, and I've just moved all this distance for pursuing a master. So it was not possible for me to like think about going back to India to fix my arm because the medical expenses are kind of lesser there. I think this particular this particular incident where I traveled with a broken arm sounds ridiculous if I think about it, from India to the US. I look upon this incident on almost a daily basis, and I think about it, and I think if I'm this person who could take a broken arm and move from and have a 35-hour flight from one country to the other, if I'm that person who can do that, if I really make up my mind, what else can I do?
Wow.
The point is, we don't have to deal with such circumstances where your arm is broken on a daily basis.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's mostly about motivating ourselves and kind of pushing ourselves to the mental or psychological barriers that we have. And I think that's what I try to do. I try to remind myself of the physical barriers that I broke, and I try to push myself to the psychological barriers that we all face in terms of what we think we can do, what our capabilities and limitations are, and what are we supposed to do. Asking these questions and pushing through them is what I think I specialize at.
Yeah. That's just so amazing. You know, if you were to go back, like, let's say you could go back and talk to your younger self, is there any message that you would convey?
Yes, I think I would convey one message. Don't worry about it. You can do it. And that's it. I think that's, and any doubt or question that you have, it's all wrong. You can do it. And that's really the only message that I'll give myself.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. So moving forward, in a couple weeks, you're coming into Ridgeway for the Unleash Your Greatness conference. So what is it, do you think, that attracted you to consider driving all that way and coming to speak there?
I think there are multiple. One would be, I really enjoy meeting people who are going through a similar journey of self-discovery, who are going through this time in their life where sometimes they don't know all the answers, they know what they want to do, because I think that helps me think inward and think about what I want to do in my life as well and learn from them.
Mhm.
So one big reason would be learning from others, seeing how exactly they have faced challenges and overcome their challenges. That would be one. The second would be I love to share. I'm a people person. I love to learn about individuals and generally make new friends. And I think there cannot be a better place than this place, because this is all about unleashing your true potential.
Yeah.
And that's really all I think my life is all about. So it's a perfect match in terms of what this conference is about and what I'm all about.
Ravi, I am so looking forward to connecting with you for an entire weekend, and I can't thank you enough for, first of all, joining me today on this interview, but also, supporting the journey at the Unleash Your Greatness conference. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. See you in a couple of weeks.
Bye, Ravi.
Bye-bye.